Nerd Sports Podcast, where we talk history of the game, numbers, and stats. And each week we highlight a charity that's doing good. If you haven't subscribed yet, then you should, because I'm this the real deal. And you know I gotta shout out the Buffalo Bills. Turn it up to the max, sit back and relax. This the Buffalo Nerd Sports Podcast. Let go.
Hey, what's up, Nerd Mafia? Welcome into what we're calling a special episode this week. I'm going to start mixing these in as we move forward, because when I first started the show, the Buffalo Nerd, back in February, one of my goals was to not only highlight charities and, meet new people and learn new things, was to also highlight some of the backer groups out there, right? Because as a displaced Bills fan like myself, I'm in California. We're everywhere, right? The Bills Mafia is everywhere. So this week you can see I got a couple faces here with me, right? So they're actually a couple of the admins from the San Diego Bills backers, right? So very cool. We're starting on the West Coast. Reason for it, I'm on the West Coast, obviously. So I wanted to highlight another West Coast group. So today I'm joined by Larry and I'm joined by Mylenda. They're part of the San Diego backers. So what's up, guys? Welcome in.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. We were chatting offline a little bit. I do this probably every time, right? As people come on. And I should probably just hit record immediately as soon as they come on, because we do like this really awesome conversation in the background, we're having fun. And then we come on and then people are like a little nervous and they're like this, that, and the other. It's like, no, just keep having fun. We were having a blast in the background, right? So very cool. I'm very happy to have you guys here. I've actually, as I was telling you guys offline, I've been to what used to be the Bills Backers Bar in San Diego. I went there on just a whim without knowing it. I didn't know it until I actually walked in and was told that I was there. But so why don't you guys kind of tell me a little bit about when the backers started in San Diego? Do you guys have an official start date?
Well before Mylenda was born, and long before I had anything to do with it. It's probably in the early to mid 80s when it began.
Cool. And
we only know the subsequent probably 5 or 6 former presidents, but I know there's 3 or 4 well before. But it has been around for quite a while.
Very cool. And so I know that part of you guys are going to be going through another transition here moving forward, right? Because Larry, he's for some reason he's deciding to leave the warmth and he's going to go back to the cold. But we won't get into all Larry's personal stuff. But so besides that, you guys are back in the 80s. And do we know why the group was originally started? Who the original president was? What the reasoning for it was?
Not a clue. Not a clue. Other than the fact that there's just a huge base here, ironically. And like I said, we probably don't know the first 3 or 4. We'd have to get other people involved that have since gone their other ways.
Right. Yeah. So let me ask you two then. So now that you guys are both involved with it, what brought you guys to it? Why are you Bills fans?
Oh, I've been a Bills fan.
Go ahead.
I've been a Bills fan growing up. My dad is a diehard, and it's been that way through my family for generations. And so moving out here, finding the Bills backers is like finding a little piece of Buffalo here in San Diego, which is sick. It's so nice to have a little Buffalo family here. My mom and dad are now in Las Vegas, and they wish they had something as solid and as family-like as we do here in San Diego. It's nice to have a family to watch with every Sunday.
Right. Absolutely. Larry, for you?
Dad was from Orchard Park. I've actually been in Southern California my entire life, and I hate to date myself, but I went to my first game in '72 against the Rams. My father was a big Rams fan, but we lived in California the entire time, and he took me back, showed me where he grew up, and as any terrible son would do, I despised the Rams and globbed onto the Bills and never deviated.
That's, I think, a requirement of a teenager, actually, if you don't stay in Buffalo, because I'm out here in California, right? And my son's turning 14 in August. He went through this stretch where basically he just rooted for whoever the Bills were playing that week. That was it. That was all he did to me. Just tried to torture me with that all the time. So I completely understand where you're coming from. And it's fun to find out the different ways that people, kind of got into being a Bills fan, but it all seems to always usually stem from, it's a generational thing, right? Or it's for their dads were, or they, their parents were from Western New York, this, that, and the other. I grew up in Western New York, so that's where it came for me. There was no other choice, right? I did go through a little phase where I loved me some Green Bay Packers because they had Sterling Sharp and Brett Favre, right? But I was still watching the Bills at the same time. So very cool. We chatted a little offline. You said you're roughly up to like 15 or 1600, in the Facebook, and you got like around 1400 members there in San Diego, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty awesome. No, go ahead, Larry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I know it's one of the larger groups. We're super competitive with the status of our club. It's a very adoring group of people. Lodos is massive on the same level. We obviously know Boston at heart is huge also. And Fort Worth is making a nice little run, as well as the guys in Arizona. But we're always going to say we're the best. That's kind of our job.
I didn't realize that I was potentially going to be starting a turf war with all of this, but Larry might have just walked me down that road. I would have to bring them on consecutively now. Everybody you just mentioned, to be like, well, it looks like we apparently have a competition on our hands.
Yeah.
So very cool though. I mean, that's cool to get that many people together, especially in, you're in Southern California, you're in San Diego, and there's that many Bills fans that want to get together and hang out. So I touched on it a little bit previously that I actually had been to what was, I guess, the original Bills backers bar there in San Diego that is no longer where you guys meet, right?
Right. We moved 5 years ago to PB Local from PB Ale House. We literally toted the surfboard across the street. And they've housed us very well. They're very accommodating, a lot more space. It's a really good fit, even though the powers that be at the time didn't necessarily want to make the move. It's now reasoned that it was probably the best move we've ever made. In fact, 5 years ago, I saw Mylenda in a separate venue, and I said to her, I go, "This is what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts?" And she goes, "I think that's brilliant." So it worked out really well. There was a little touch and go there for a minute, but it all worked out.
So roughly how many, like when on game day, roughly how many of you guys get together there?
It's especially with us getting gradually better, you better be, it's always Cody first in line, and he gets there at about 7:30 in the damn morning. It's ridiculous. And then you got the Taylors, which are there in tow with children, and it's a good group. We for opening day this 2 years ago. Right, with all this COVID nonsense. But I think we counted 125 pre-door open, and we hit capacity about half the time in the season. And then forget about that playoff game 2 years ago was you're not getting in if you weren't there before kickoff.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's a lot of people to hang out with and enjoy the game with. And like Mylenda mentioned, I mean, I think the Mafia it's like a family, right? I mean, that's I'm sure you guys don't just, chat on Sundays, it's become, you've got, family friends and everything now that you do other things with outside of just watching the Bills from, meeting the Bills backers in your community. So that's very cool. So let me ask you guys though. So we today, it seems to happen. I should probably record more often because it seems like every time that I'm going to record things, we do something, like today we went out and we saved some money, which is pretty cool. Right. So let me ask you guys, what do you think is going to happen with this season? Mylenda, like, what are you anticipating for the Bills this year?
I think it's going to be a really big season for us. And like we said before, I'm not trying to jinx anything. I'm not going to go down that path, but I am more excited than I've ever been to watch the Buffalo Bills. I think that we are going to be, and we have the capacity to be one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL. And I think we're going to see some really big things from us this year.
Was there anything that so far through the offseason that you've been like, man, I wish we would have done that, or I wish we would have got this player or anything like that? Or, I mean, we're bringing back like 19 out of 22 players, I mean, I'm cool with that personally, but what's your thoughts on that?
No, I'm just glad we maintained in the way that we did, because when you go into an off season, you never really know what's going to happen. And to see as many of our rock stars come back this year that were on the team last year, I think is amazing. And I mean, you could always look back and say, like, should we, could have we? But I think I really do trust the staff, and I trust the leadership that we have in the team right now. I think that they've done a fabulous job up until this point, and last year shows that. And I think we're going to be solid.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. You said it a little bit ago that you're excited for the season, right? I mentioned that episodes back on the show, or before the draft, where I was like, I just feel like this draft, it's so easy to go into this draft because I don't feel like this person is necessarily going to make or break what's going to happen for this team this year, right? I feel like we're just a good football team all the way around. So, Larry, let me ask you then the same. What are you anticipating for the season? I mean, she pretty much knocked it out of the park, so you're going to really have to do a great job now. But what do you think?
I can't surpass that. But it was only a handful of years ago that people said, oh, no good players want to come there. And now they see this family and tradition, and being a big baseball fan, it's like, it's not always the talent on the field, it's the clubhouse and how the camaraderie, how they get along. And they've done, the whole respect the process thing has been nails. And now we can attract top talent. You got star players tweeting other players going, oh yeah, you want to come check this out. Who at 2 a.m, they get off a plane in the snow and, thousands of fans outside appreciative of what you do for that city.
Yeah. And I think the other piece of it that's nice for the players too, is they've always seen that, right? Because even when we were losing, the fans were still showing up like that, right? I mean, that's just how it was. But they're getting to see that not only do we support the team when it comes time for winning, we're going to support the team when you're not necessarily having that great of a time either, right? I mean, you're going to hear it. I mean, it's going to be a different tune, right? It's going to be a different tune of appraisal, but you're going to be still getting some love either way, so it's very cool. Is there anybody for you, Larry, that this offseason you would have liked us to maybe bring in or anything like that, or something that you're still anticipating we might see or something?
No, like you said about the move, the cash move today, which was great. Hopefully there's something up the sleeve. But I thought the draft went perfectly. I thought that everybody coming back was outstanding, and can't wait for opening day.
Oh, and especially with the matchup. All the rumors early on were that we might open up with Tampa Bay on like the opener for the season, which I was going to be cool with, right? Because that would be just as exciting. But getting Pittsburgh in the first home game after being in an AFC championship, not being in the playoffs for so long, the place is going to be a madhouse, right? Like the building might not last after week 1 of this upcoming playing Pittsburgh off the bat like that, right? Because they're one of those teams that everybody says should be a team that's going to be there again, right? And that's going to be a team being competitive. I think they're a little more on the downslide, but that's just me personally. I think that we should be cruising past them at this point, and I think it would be incredible to see us go out in the opener in front of the pack house and just kind of hand it to them and just be like, did you forget that we were in the AFC Championship last year and we whooped your leading down to the end of the season? So just a friendly reminder. Yeah, just a friendly reminder. I mean, but so very cool. Anything new and exciting happening for the backers this season then? I mean, we are going to be doing, I'm anticipating you're probably going to be a packed house all the time now. I mean, this is a good team and we've got some good matchups this season, I think, against some teams that'll be fun to watch, and the division's better, so I think it's going to be fun all the way around. But you guys got any big things planned for the upcoming season?
Since I'm going to be at every game and Mylenda now has to, draw the reins on this thing, nothing personally.
Yeah, that's a little segue there, right? That Larry's actually hightailing it back to Western New York, right? So he will be actually standing in the snow in the games. Well, Mylenda will be texting him from the warmth of the Bills backer bar in San Diego, but probably strung out from having to do everything.
Yeah,
right?
I'll be sending him some videos. I'll be sending him the beautiful sunset in the background, just so he can remember, right. Especially when it's cold and snowy. Maybe even FaceTime him and show him some palm trees.
or when it's like the Monday nighter, right? And he's at 11 o'clock, he's freezing to death, and you're standing there going, yeah, it's like 8:30 here. The sun's going down.
No,
but I'll be shooting pictures back to her from every game. So
right.
I get the last laugh.
To get back.
So what do you got planned then, Mylenda? Yeah, what do you got planned?
I think we're just excited to get back to some normalcy. This year was a really tough year where many of us couldn't watch together in the way that we previously did because of the pandemic and because of everything around that. So I really do think that everyone's just excited to go to the bar again and be able to watch it all together as our little San Diego Bills backers family in the way that we did previously. Similar to how I'm so excited for the season, I'm so excited to see a packed PB local again with all of my friends and all of my family there watching together. And so I think that that's the biggest thing is just coming together again and having that camaraderie and coming to support our Buffalo Bills.
Heck yeah. I mean, and that's what it's all about, really. I mean, I tend to watch the games by myself quite a bit just because it's better if most people don't hear what I'm saying probably a lot of the time, so it's better if I'm by myself for the most part, but there's actually a local Sacramento chapter here, obviously too. Right. So it is fun to be able to actually just hang out, watch a game with somebody else that's cheering for the same team as you, because you are in a state that's, probably you're in Charger country down there for the most part, or it could be Raiders if they're winning, or San Fran, they pop up when they're winning. You guys know how California fans are. They have a little hard time sticking with their team when they're not winning all the time, but I'm super excited for it. Next time I'm in San Diego, I'm going to have to pop by the new PB local spot, I guess. I do know the other thing you guys are kind of up to, Larry kind of chatted up, is you guys are going to become a nonprofit, like officially, right? The club is going to become a nonprofit, right? Do you guys want to speak on that briefly?
Yeah, actually, we have been for 10 years. Okay. Mylenda and myself and the powers that be at the time, the last time the Bills played at the Chargers prior to them obviously leaving was 2011. And the reasoning behind becoming a nonprofit was our goal was 750 people for that game. And we did full tailgate and tickets as packages. And then I got 1099, 137 grand from PayPal. And I'm like, ooh, ouch. Ooh, yeah. So we filed right away to get the nonprofit going. And it's worked out. It's worked out really well. And we do focus on charity. We do run it like a business. And we try to, give back to the community, Buffalo as well as San Diego. And it's a lot of fun, and it's better to, carry that forward, kick down a little here, a little there, and try to help some real grassroots charities.
Yeah, that's awesome. When you'd sent me that picture, and I was like, all right, that's cool, because obviously that's what I do most of the time with the show, right? Is I highlight a charity and things like that. So you guys are kind of killing two birds with one stone almost. I got to hit my first backers group of the year, and it's actually a charity at the same time, right? So it's a cool thing. Obviously, we all know the Bills Mafia is all about helping out, and it's cool that the San Diego chapter, still can help out locally, and they help out in Buffalo too, right? I think because that's where it all stems from. So that's very cool. So thank you guys for coming on and being the first group. I know when I hit up Larry, he was like, it's weird that you just messaged me, because I'm actually filling out the renewal for I think it was the renewal at the time, right? For your 501c, right? So he's like, it's weird that you kind of pinged me and wanted to highlight us. So thank you both for coming on. Mylenda, keep kicking butt down there, even though Larry's bailing on you, and he's going to go to the live games instead, but thank you, both of you guys, for coming on. It's awesome to chat with Bills fans. You guys were great. You both were super knowledgeable and cool to chat with. So thank you very much for coming on, you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And for everybody that's listening to the show, supporting the show, everything's over at the Buffalo Nerd. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Be safe out there. Keep masking up just till we're out of the woods so we have a season. All right, guys. All right.
You just listen to the Buffalo Nerd Sports Podcast. Make sure you leave a review and subscribe so you never miss another episode. We'll see you next time. Leg out.